Good morning to everyone. Dr. J. Moses Yanakan, Assistant Professor of Economics from Nazareth Margasis College at Pulayanamani, Thuthukudi District of Tamil Nadu. This is for 5th Faculty Induction Program Seminar Presentation organized by Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad. Today is my topic, Keynes liquidity preference. What is liquidity preference? It means the demand for money to hold cash or money in liquid form. Let us discuss with the help of the PowerPoint. Wait for a minute, I'm going to share the PowerPoint. I think you are all able to see these slides. Thank you. Let us start with the introduction for this theory. The second one is supply and demand for money. The third one is 3 motives for this theory. The fourth one is diagrammatic explanation for this theory. Then what are the criticism it has? Then what is the conclusion for this theory? Let us discuss one by one. It is developed by John Maynard Keynes, new economist and revolutionary person in the field of macroeconomics. He has written so many books, but the best known work is The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. It was published in the year 1936 and became a benchmark for future economic thought. In 1944, he played a significant part in the planning of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund in Bretton Woods in the United States Conference. He supports demand for money and effective demand. Liquidity means cash in hand, ready cash. It is called the liquidity. Liquidity preference means the desire of the public to hold cash. In macroeconomic theory, liquidity preference is also considered as demand for money. What is demand for money? The demand for money is the desire to hold money, desire to hold cash, holding up financial assets in the form of money, that is, cash or bank deposits rather than investments. Demand for money narrowly defined as M1 or for the broader sense of M2 or M3. M1 is currency with the public plus demand deposits with the banking system and other deposits with the RBA. M2 is M1 plus saving deposit of post office savings bank. M3 is M2 plus time deposits with the banking system. Then what is the supply of? The supply of money is the total value of money available in an economy at a point of time. Total money value available in an economy. That is called the supply of money. There are several ways to define money. It defines medium of exchange. It has store of value. It has the standard of deferred payments. But standard measures usually include currency in circulation, that is money. The relationship between money and prices has historically been associated with the quantity of money. According to Keynes, there are 3 motives behind the desire of the public to hold liquid cash. The first one is the transaction motive. The second one is the precautionary motive. And the third one is the speculative motives. Let us discuss one by one. The transaction motive. Under this motive, the demand for money depends upon the level of income, because or basically it is the money which we need for daily exchange purposes, because we receive our income on the monthly basis. So we need some money for our daily or day-to-day expenses. So the motive is depends upon the level of income. So I think you are all able to understand the transaction motive depends upon the level of income. The second one is precautionary motive. Before going to this, to make a payment is called the transaction motive. It is not affected by the rate of interest. Already I told you, depends upon the level of income. Consumer cold cash for the day-to-day purchase, income elastic. The transaction motive relates to the demand for money or the need of cash for the current transaction of individual and business exchanges. Individual hold cash in order to bridge the gap between the receipt of income and its expenditure. This is called the income motive, because gap between the receipt of income and expenditure. So we can call income motive. The businessmen also need to hold ready cash in order to meet their current needs, like payments for raw materials, transport, wages, etc. This is called the business motive. Then second one is precautionary motive. It is also depends upon the level of income only, because sudden and unexpected expenditure. People hold money for emergency or unforeseen contingencies. Uncertainty for future, like sickness, accident, job loss, etc., unemployment situation. So only people wants to have a money as a precautionary. Then the third one is speculative motive. It is for securing profits. People like to hold cash for the purchase of bonds and securities when they think it's profitable, or knowing better than the market. It depends on the rate of interest. Interest elastic. When the rate of interest high, the bond price will be low. It is more attractive. When the rate of interest low, the bond price is high. That is the less attractive. The speculative motive relates to the desire to hold one resources in liquid form to take advantage of future changes in the rate of interest or bond prices. The bond prices and the rate of interest are inversely related to each other. So already I told you, we take advantage of the changes in the rate of interest. When the rate of interest increases, the demand for money falls. Vice versa, inverse relationship between the rate of interest and the money, demand for money. So we can show here the changes in the rate of interest and the demand for money with the help of the liquidity trap or diagrammatic explanation. Here, when the rate of interest is R, the demand for money is OM. Then the rate of interest, or when the rate of interest when falls to R1, R2, R1, the quantity demand for money is, or demand for money is OM to OM1. Then the R1 to R2, when the rate of interest is falls from R1 to R2, the quantity demand for money is from M1 to M2. So here we can see the horizontal line. This line is called the liquidity drop line, because which means at a very low level of interest rate, the entire money in their hand, or entire cash in the form of liquid, that phase is called the liquidity trap phase. Okay, we can explain here. If there is any deviation from this equilibrium position, an adjustment will take place through the rate of interest at equilibrium. E will be re-established. At the point E, the supply of money OM is greater than the demand for money OM1. Consequently, the rate of interest will start declining from OR1 till the equilibrium rate of interest OR is reached. Similarly, OR2 level of interest rate, the demand for money OM2 is greater than the supply of money OM. As a result, the rate of interest OR2 will start rising till it reaches the equilibrium rate OR. So it may be noted that if the supply of money is increased by the monetary authorities, but the liquidity preference curve L remains the same, the rate of interest will fall. If the demand for money increases and the liquidity preference curve shifts upward, given the supply of money, the rate of interest will rise. So already I told this one also, we can skip this slide. What are the criticism we are going to see? Firstly, like the classical and the neoclassical theories, Keynes theory is not, or is an indeterminate one, or it is not determinant one, because classical theory has some views and the neoclassical theory has some views. So Keynes theory is not determinant. So then Keynes charged the classical theory on the ground that is assumed the level of employment fixed. Here the employment or the level of employment fixed by the Keynes, but the classical view and the neoclassical view, they won't accept, or they don't have the idea to fix employment level is maybe high or maybe low. So Keynes charged the classical theory as fixed employment rate. So they criticized. Secondly, Keynes committed an error in rejecting real factors, the determinants in rate of determination or interest rate determination. So Keynes reject the real factors. I mean, which one is supporting or which one is helping to determine the interest rate. So he rejected all the real factors. He focusing I mean, in empty factors. So the thirdly, Keynes theory gives choice between holding risky bonds and riskless cash. Here, choice between they are want to have a risky bond or riskless cash. They are confusing. So Keynes said like this. So they are criticizing. Then liquidity preference is not the only factor governing the rate of interest. Liquidity preference is not only the factor governing the rate of interest. So many factors are there. I mean, several factors are there for influence the rate of interest by affecting the demand for and supply of investable fund. Then liquidity preference theory does not explain the existence of different rate of interest prevailing in the market at the same time. At the same time, they are having different interest rate. So Keynes said like that, fixed interest rate only consider this. So only criticizing. Keynes ignores saving or waiting as a means or source of investable fund to part with the liquidity without there being any saving meaningless. The Keynes theory only explained interest in the short run. It gives no clue to the rate of interest in the long run. So Keynes focusing the short run only. So he is not focusing the long run. So only they are criticizing this theory. Then conclusion. What is the conclusion for it? We are going to see, despite this criticism, Keynes liquidity preference theory tells a lot on income, output, and employment of a country. His basic purpose was to demonstrate that a capitalist economy can never reach full employment due to existence of liquidity trap. As we all know, capitalist economy can never reach full employment because of the liquidity. Though the liquidity trap has been overemphasized by Keynes, he demolished the classical conclusion, the goal of full employment. Further, his theory has an important policy implication. A general bank, I mean, central bank is incapable of receiving a capitalist economy during depression because of liquidity trap. So they cannot get the receiving the capitalist economy because of incapable of the. Then, in other words, monetary policy is useless during depressionary base of an economy. So these are all the things discussing by us for the liquidity preference theory. Thank you for patiently listening. Thank you, one and all.